You ever buy something so cheap, you figure there's gotta be a catch? That was me standing on a windswept stretch of prairie with a deed in one hand, still smelling of government paperwork, thinking 2 grand for 200 acres. Somebody's messing with me. But I checked. It was real. I'd just bought more land than some small towns, all for less than a used Harley. And you better believe 48 hours later, the catch came walking my way, click, 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 designer heels sinking into the dirt like she was born out here. Not a spot of mud on her binder in hand, confidence to burn. She marches right up, nose in the air, and shoves a fat binder under my nose. You owe our homeowners association $15,000 in back dues and violations, she says, voice sweeter than lavender soap, but with an edge sharp as barbed wire. I'm looking around, nothing but windgrass and cows giving us that. Are you lost? Look, there are no other houses, no fences, no paved roads, just empty land rolling out to the horizon. The previous owner signed an agreement, she claims. You inherit their obligations. I pull out my deed, wave it like a fly swatter. Lady, this is agricultural land. There's no HOA here. She smirks. That was her first mistake. I've spent my life under truck engines fixing other people's breakdowns. A scam doesn't scare me, but it sure pisses me off. So I say, show me the actual legal docs. She points at her binder. Emails, contract signatures. Everything about it stinks of fresh printer ink and desperation. When I press for actual county filings, she goes dodgy. They're recorded, look 'em up yourself. Then she spins on her heels, leaving the smell of lavender and fraud hanging in the wind. But here's the thing, she's threatening liens lawsuits in the county on a guy she just met. That's not neighborly. That's a predator sniffing easy money. My grandfather always said, don't let people sell you your own land. That night, lying in bed, I realized if she tried this with me, who else has she scammed? Next morning, I take her advice and drive straight to the county courthouse. The clerk, Dolores, old as the courthouse itself, barely looks up. You hear about the Fairmont situation, she asks, like she's seen this show before. Turns out I'm the fourth person in a month. She lays out the real paperwork, my deed clean and clear since '67. The survey showing nothing but farmland, and Brinley's so-called HOA filings, 12 little lots huddled around her mansion, nowhere near my stretch of Nebraska prairie. Your land predates their development by 40 years, Dolores says, poking the papers with a gnarled finger. You're safe. But she's tried to amend your deed 6 times in a month. She even slides me a forged owner consent form, my name, my signature, except it looks like a toddler's chicken scratch. That's when I know I'm up against a professional. I drive home, slap up no trespassing signs, start farming for real, and brace myself for round 2. Sure enough, next day I get a certified letter official, letterhead legalese dripping with threats, $15,000 demanded plus penalties and interest, even a $200 processing fee for the pleasure of being harassed. Not just that she files a complaint with the county, trashes me on Nextdoor, and stirs up her neighbors to sign a petition about disruption to community harmony. I haven't even dropped a seed in the ground. That's when I realize I'm not alone. Dolores tells me stories, 3 other families, same playbook. Even the Sheriff Deputy Reynolds knows the Fairmonts by name. 3 families in 2 years handed over cash before they caught on, he says, tipping his hat. One old farmer gave him $8 grand. It's a pattern. And now I'm not just fighting for my land, I'm trying to stop a scam that's been rolling unchecked. A day later, a woman named Patricia calls from Meadowbrook Property Management. Demands $17,000, gives me a fake business address that's just a UPS mailbox. I Google it while she's on the line. When I call her out, she hangs up. Evenings, I watch their black Tesla prowl my fence line, snapping photos, trying to rattle me. I wave. He doesn't. Next morning, Reynolds is back looking at my stack of fake bills, forged docs, and the latest escalation, a minivan and a sedan out of state, plates a bunch of clipboard-wielding Community Safety Committee folks documenting hazards on my land. They take photos, make lists, act official. Turns out they're 3 of the 12 families in Brinley's HOA. She's building a case to paint me as the threat. That night I call the farmers' rights attorney. Deputy Reynolds recommends Sarah. She's sharp, experienced, and she recognizes this scam for what it is. Not just local bullying, but organized interstate fraud. She starts digging finds. Brinley and Chadwick ran the same scam in California and Arizona, collecting tens of thousands before skipping town. These aren't confused neighbors, she says, they're pros. A twist comes when Sarah and I, together with Dolores, unearth the smoking gun. My land has a permanent agricultural protection written into the original 1967 deed. And even better, Dolores uncovers an attempted amendment signed by a dead man. Elmer Wickham's name, he died 6 months before the doc was filed. The electronic filing traced right back to the Fairmont house. That's federal wire fraud. Suddenly, we're not just playing defense, we're setting a trap. The plan bait them with a state agricultural excellence inspection, talk up a $50,000 grant at the local hardware store, where gossip moves faster than a grass fire. We hire Bob, a retired ag inspector, and Rodriguez Security for real surveillance. The day of the inspection, Brinley and Chadwick make their move, bribery threats, forged documents. Everything caught on high-def cameras with FBI and sheriff's deputies in place. They confess live in front of half the neighborhood. Federal agents sweep in. Brinley and Chadwick get cuffed, and for the first time in months, the wind carries the sound of applause across my field. Real spontaneous from every neighbor who got scammed and everyone who almost did. In the aftermath, the news goes statewide. My deed is recertified, now bulletproof. The judge sentences Brinley and Chadwick to 4 years federal plus restitution over $200,000, every penny back to the families they hurt. But the best part, the recovered funds launch a legitimate community improvement fund. Real gravel roads, shared farm equipment, a scholarship for kids studying agriculture or law so this never happens again. 6 months later, corn is knee-high and green as envy. The air smells of honest dirt and victory. My farm's thriving. The law now protects rural landowners like never before. Even got a call from Wyoming, another farmer, same scam, asking for help. Sarah and I drove out, shared what we learned. Fighting back isn't just about your own land. It's about making sure nobody gets bullied by fake authority ever again. My life changed in 100 ways. Started dating Anna, the extension agent, started a conservation project, turned a scam into a real victory for the whole community. And when a developer called offering big money for my place, I just smiled and said, some things aren't for sale. So here's my advice. Don't ever let somebody in heels or a suit talk you out of what's yours. Don't trust paperwork that smells like a scam. Don't be afraid to stand up for your rights even when you're alone on the prairie. Sometimes the best defense is a good offense, and sometimes justice is just a bunch of neighbors clapping in the Nebraska sun. What about you? Where do you draw the line on justice? Should scammers get a second chance, or is karma just the law catching up with a little help from the rest of us? Drop your thoughts, share your story, and if you've ever fought off a scammer, let's hear it, because out here we take care of our own.
Cảm ơn các bạn đã xem video.